What was your creepy unexplained experience as a child? I tried cutting grass on the side of a hill on a riding lawnmower when I was about 11 years old. It was too steep of an angle and it rolled over on me. I was completely stuck. After a minute or so of wriggling around I panicked. The next thing I remember is standing up next to the mower after blacking out. I don't know how I got out from under. I assume adrenaline. This probably has a rational explanation, but I never found out what it was. When I was 8, we lived in an apartment with very thin walls. I could hear the married couple having woohoo at night, all the time. It always felt funny seeing them the next day. One day I was sick and stayed home from school, but my mom still had to go to work. So I just remained alone in my bedroom, watching cartoons. I was really nauseous and drifting in and out of sleep when I heard a tapping. Initially I ignored it, but the sound became rapid, more insistent. Tap 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 tap. I was too sick to care when a deep low voice said, "Hello." I froze in bed, believing a felony broken in, and the voice was coming from inside the apartment. But it was coming from the other side of the wall. He said lots of things. I don't remember it all. Hello. I'd like to meet you. Tell me where you are. I had been throwing up in the toilet all day and couldn't take any more, so I didn't respond. I burrowed further into my sheets and tried to ignore the voice. When my mom came home she had Rocky Road ice cream because she felt sorry for me, and I was so excited about the ice cream I forgot to mention what happened. Makes me wonder if the couple was playing a prank on you, knowing you were home alone sick. Perhaps your mother briefly mentioned it in an unexpected meeting? Or, as I mentioned on someone else's post, kids often experience short-term psychosis, especially when they are tired, but also when they're very sick. I had audible hallucinations between ages 7 to 8, often very loud and very scary. You'll never know the answer to that one, but it's interesting nonetheless. One night when I was a teenager, my whole family had gone to bed. It was around 11:30 or midnight. My bedroom door was open, and I had a clear view of the dining room table from my bedroom. Everything was quiet and the house was very dark, since all the lights were off, and we all suddenly heard the distinct sound of a kitchen chair scraping across the floor with some weight behind it, as if someone was sitting in it and scooted. Everyone was in bed and the dogs were accounted for. My eyes shot open, and I was petrified with fear, and my dad got up and turned the lights on to see what it was. We still can't explain it. Someone may have just pushed the chair in too far, so it was standing on its back legs, the front legs off the floor. The furnace kicks on, vibrates the floor a bit, and the chair scoots back down to right itself, making the sound and a small thud perhaps as it comes to rest nicely on all four legs. My childhood home had chairs that would have easily done this. A similar thing happened in an apartment I rented a few years back. A big heavy tea pitcher was sitting on our fridge, and the kitchen floor was not perfectly level. The pitcher smashed to the floor one night, pretty late. The furnace is behind that wall, and the fridge itself vibrates a bit when the motor amps up. Between these two, I'm certain that over time the pitcher made its way to the edge from the slight slope and just tipped over a hair too far one night. Continue this thread. When my brother and I were kids, our mom and grandma left us in the car one day when they ran into the supermarket. There was an old looking car like a Lincoln or a Cadillac parked nearby. A man in a zoot suit type outfit with a feather in his hat like a cartoon pimp would wear got out and went around to the back. He opened his trunk and two ladies climbed out of the trunk, a white woman in a black dress and a black woman in a white dress. Both were formal looking dresses. The white woman saw us looking at her and stared at us. She kept staring at us for a minute. It was kind of an intense stare, but also empty at the same time. I remember feeling nervous, so I told my brother to look away. He asked me why, and I said just do it, and we both looked away. I have no idea, but I remember freaking out, and for some reason really didn't want the man to see us too. I kind of sunk down into the floor for a few minutes and they were gone. When I looked again, I asked my brother if he saw where they went, and he said they went in the store. We agreed that was weird. We told my mom when she got back, but she didn't believe it, and she and my grandma laughed. She said if anyone dressed like that was in the store she would have seen them. My brother and I have talked about it a few times since. He still remembers it clearly, and so do I, but he says he didn't feel scared like I did, just thought it was really strange. I still feel kind of weird when I think about it. Lived in a pretty rural area. Forested with a small brook. Chickens out back. Garden in the front. Don't want to share a room with my little brother anymore. Get an old downstairs study turned into a bedroom. Very bad idea. Many years of creepy experiences that were all in my head from being on the bottom floor. 4 AM. Very dark. But doggo wants toilet. We don't have a door for him, so I have to let him out and wait and let him back in. Dog walks into pitch blackness of front garden. I stare at the dark shapes waiting for him to come back. Suddenly from the drive to the left, a man-shaped dark smudge starts walking into the garden, around the tree, through the garden and round to the back of the house. I'm fucking shitting myself. No sign of dog. Dog is German Shepherd Rottweiler crossbreed. Surely he would attack intruder? Waiting impatiently for dog. So scared. Come on dog. Scary figure is here somewhere. Don't wanna be indoor waiting. The figure appears again. Back the way it came. Yeah, alright, onions have lair action. It's my uncle. Dog returns. No bark cause he knew uncle. Uncle leaves without another word. Okay, so the next day I question as to why the frick my uncle turns up at 4 AM at our house. Apparently he feeds the fucking chickens at 4 in the morning and has been doing it every night for years. The part that remains unexplained to this day to me is why on earth he did it. He retired early, so he had no work, and we lived way away, so why drive 2 hours in the middle of the night to feed the chickens? Why not just come in the day and say hello to his family? Weird as frick. I had this couch with a couple springs missing. They popped up, and my dad removed them from the inside, so you sat really low on that section, almost as if you're getting sucked into the couch. My brother and I used to fight over who had to sit there when watching TV downstairs. I usually made him do it. One day I had some friends over for a sleepover. I was on the couch. My buddies were on yoga mats on the floor. I felt a kick in the night, thought it was one of my buddies, and told him politely to fuck off. Another kick, right under my back. How is that possible? I got up, turned on the lamp, and my buddies were both passed out. I went back to the couch, took off the cushion and looked. Nothing. Get back on the couch, turn off lamp behind me, and try to go to sleep. It must have been only a few minutes when my one friend whispered who the other dude was when I turned on the light. I said, "What?" He said something like, "You turned on the lamp." I was pretending I was asleep because I thought it was your parents. I saw someone standing behind the couch. It wasn't your dad. We then all got freaked out, ran upstairs to my room, and slept in there instead of the basement. A few weeks later I get home from school and my dad is tossing the couch in the back of his pickup. I assumed he bought a new one, but no. He said he was sick of seeing it in his house because it was his dad's, and his dad always used to rough him up when he was younger. Usually by punching/poking him in the back where his shirt would hide the bruises. When I was like 3 my family lived in a condo, and it was springtime, around Easter, and I remember we walked outside one morning to find a bunch of small chocolate eggs, candy, on our front lawn. My parents didn't put them there and neither did any of our neighbors. The strange thing about it was, there was holes in all of them. We never were able to explain how they got there. Another weird experience would be, when I was in about 8th grade. I was on the couch in the basement, and in the basement we had sliding glass doors and the doors would lead out to a small deck, and then the backyard. There were woods directly behind. At night the sliding glass doors were very dark, you couldn't really see out of them from the inside, but standing outside you could see in, which I never liked. Always felt weird, and like I was being watched. Well, this night I was watching TV on the couch, and my head and eyes were facing the doors. I suddenly saw a bright flash of light come from the outside of these doors. It was like a camera flash, and as I see this, I have the realization that I'm unable to move. I was completely paralyzed. I was unable to move, scream. I'm not sure how long it lasted, it was probably like 2 minutes tops, and when I finally came completely aware and able to move I realized I had pissed all over myself. It sounds like an episode of sleep paralysis, but I was never asleep. I had a bunch of memories that didn't fit. Like I remembered waiting at my grandpa's work for him to be finished. Or futilely trying to shovel the snow near their place. Or going to bed every night looking out over the field next to their place. No one ever talked about this though, so I was simply confused about it for quite a while. Turns out I did live with them when I was young, and for some reason everyone just assumed I would forget and preferred it that way.